The new cadet. The crystalline spires of the Galactic Defense Academy pierced the purple sky of Centauri Prime, their surfaces refracting the light of 3 suns into rainbow cascades. Maya Chen stood at the base of the central tower, her acceptance letter clutched in one hand, trying to steady her breathing. After 3 generations of humanity's integration into the Galactic Confederation, she was about to become the first human cadet accepted into the Academy's prestigious Strategic Operations Division. The entrance hall bustled with alien life forms of every conceivable shape and size. A group of Arcturian cadets floated by, their translucent bodies pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. 2 Zixtheri officers strode past on their backward-jointed legs, their scaled skin shimmering with iridescent colors. Maya felt painfully ordinary in her standard-issue gray uniform. "Cadet Chen," a melodious voice called out. Maya turned to face an Illyrian administrator, their silver-feathered head tilting at an inquisitive angle. "I am Director Vrexy. Welcome to the Academy. Please, follow me." As they glided through holographic corridors, Vrexy's feathers rippled with what Maya had learned was curiosity. "Your test scores were interesting, cadet, particularly in the tactical simulation sectors. Care to explain your methodology?" Maya shifted uncomfortably. "I just saw the patterns, Director. They seemed obvious to me." "Obvious?" Vrexy's feathers flashed with surprise. "The Level 7 combat scenarios contain over 12 million variable combinations. Even our most advanced AI takes 3.4 seconds to calculate optimal responses." "I didn't calculate anything," Maya admitted. "I just knew. It's hard to explain." They reached a vast circular chamber where dozens of alien cadets sat at curved desks, their attention focused on a holographic display at the center. The instructor, a towering meridian with 4 arms and crystalline skin, paused mid-lecture. "Ah, our new arrival." Professor Catal's voice resonated through the chamber. "Please, take your seat, Cadet Chen. We were just discussing multi-dimensional battlefield analysis." Maya found an empty desk between a serpentine Naga cadet and a silicon-based Petrovan. The hologram showed a complex star system with hundreds of ships engaged in combat maneuvers. "Now," Catal continued, "given the current configuration, calculate the optimal defensive formation accounting for gravitational variables and enemy weapon capabilities. You have 5 minutes." Maya's eyes widened as she watched the battle scenario unfold, while her classmates began inputting complex calculations into their neural interfaces. She simply saw it. The patterns of movement, the gravitational flows, the likely attack vectors, they all came together in her mind like pieces of a puzzle. Her hand shot up before anyone else had even finished their first set of calculations. "Cadet Chen." Catal's crystalline face sparkled with skepticism. "You cannot possibly have completed the full analysis. The solution is to split the fleet into 3 asymmetrical groups," Maya said, pointing to specific points in the hologram. "Use the larger gas giant's gravity well to slingshot the smaller vessels here, and here. The enemy formation has a recurring pattern in their approach vectors. They're favoring efficiency over tactical advantage. We can exploit that." The chamber fell silent. Catal's crystalline surface clouded over. "That is correct. But without running the calculations, how did you?" "I just saw it," Maya said quietly, aware of the stares from her classmates. "The patterns were there." "Impossible," declared the Naga cadet beside her. "No organic being can process that level of complexity without computational assistance. She must be using unauthorized technology." Catal's surface cleared. "Indeed. Cadet Chen, report to Security Station Alpha for scanning. We take academic integrity very seriously at this institution." As Maya stood to follow the security drone that had materialized beside her desk, she caught whispered conversations among her classmates. Humans claim to be civilized, but they're clearly still primitive, probably using banned neural enhancers. They'll send her back to Earth where she belongs. Maya squared her shoulders and lifted her chin. She knew what she'd seen, knew how her mind worked. If only she could make them understand that this wasn't cheating. It was simply human intuition, pattern recognition honed by millions of years of evolution. But as she followed the drone through the twisting corridors, she wondered if she'd ever get the chance to prove it. In the security office, surrounded by humming scan fields and suspicious alien faces, Maya realized this was about more than just her future at the Academy. This was about humanity's place in the galaxy. Somehow, she had to make them understand that what they saw as impossible was simply human nature, a gift born from countless generations of human ancestors who had to spot patterns to survive, who had to make split-second decisions based on incomplete information. But first, she had to survive the investigation. Her neural scan would show no technological enhancement, no illegal modifications. But would that be enough to convince them? Or would they simply find it even more suspicious that a primitive human could do what their advanced technologies took seconds to achieve? Maya took a deep breath and stepped into the scanner. Whatever came next, she would face it with the same determination that had gotten humanity to the stars in the first place. She would show them all what human intuition could really do. Pattern recognition. The security scan lasted 3 hours. Maya sat perfectly still as beams of light in impossible colors played across her skin, as probes measured her neural activity, as alien devices she couldn't begin to understand analyzed every cell in her body. Through it all, Security Chief Zolrin watched with compound eyes that betrayed no emotion. Nothing, they finally announced, their crystalline exoskeleton chiming softly with movement. No neural enhancers. No quantum processors, no technological augmentation of any kind. Their mandibles clicked in frustration. Just standard human biology. As I said, Maya responded quietly, rubbing her arms where the scan fields had left her skin tingling. I don't need technology to see patterns. It's just how human minds work. Impossible, Zolrin insisted. The tactical scenarios you solve require processing power beyond organic capabilities. Your species has been spacefaring for barely 3 generations. You cannot expect us to believe. A chime interrupted them. Director Vrexy glided into the security office, silver feathers rippling with what Maya was learning to recognize as intense interest. Chief Zolrin, the Academy Board requests your findings. Cadet Chen, you will attend as well. The board chamber was a vast hemisphere, its curved walls displaying real-time feeds from thousands of surveillance systems across the Academy. 9 alien administrators sat in a crescent formation, their diverse physiologies united in their scrutiny of Maya as she entered. The scans confirm no technological assistance, Zolrin reported. However, I recommend immediate expulsion. The human clearly presents a security risk we don't understand. Maya's heart raced, but she forced herself to remain calm. This was her chance. Members of the board, she said, stepping forward. I request a demonstration. The chairman, a gaseous being contained within an ornate environmental suit, swirled with interest. Explain. Run any tactical scenario you want. Let me solve it while you monitor my neural activity in real time. I'll explain my thought process as I go. The board members communicated in a burst of colors, electromagnetic pulses, and subsonic rumbles. Finally, the chairman's voice emerged from a speaker. Agreed. Professor Catal, proceed with Scenario Omega-7. The air filled with holographic projections, a complex, 4-dimensional battlefield involving multiple species, varied weapon systems, and shifting gravitational anomalies. Maya heard several board members murmur that this scenario had never been solved without AI assistance. She took a deep breath and let her mind do what it did naturally. There, she pointed, her hand tracing patterns in the air. The Tachyon fleet's formation repeats every 12 seconds. They're using standard galactic navy algorithms, efficient but predictable. The gravitational eddies here and here create corridors of stable space. If we position our forces along these vectors. As she spoke, her mind racing ahead of her words, neural monitoring equipment chimed and whirred. The aliens watched in fascination as she broke down one of their most complex tactical challenges through pure human intuition. "The key isn't calculating every possibility," she explained, her confidence growing. "It's recognizing patterns. Humans evolved as pattern recognition machines. Our ancestors had to instantly determine if a rustle in the grass was wind or a predator, if a berry was safe or poisonous, if a stranger's expression meant peace or war. We didn't have time for complex calculations. We had to know." "But this is vastly more complex than primitive survival," objected one board member, their crystalline form vibrating with skepticism. "The principles are the same," Maya insisted. "Our brains evolved to spot patterns in chaos, to make intuitive leaps based on incomplete data. We don't need to calculate every variable, because we can see how they flow together. It's not about raw processing power, it's about recognition." The chairman's gaseous form swirled thoughtfully. "Continue the demonstration. Increase complexity by 40%. For the next 2 hours, Maya worked through increasingly difficult scenarios while explaining her thought process. She showed them how human intuition could spot weaknesses in enemy formations, predict behavior patterns, and find solutions that pure calculation might miss. Finally, exhausted but exhilarated, she finished her last demonstration. The neural monitoring equipment had confirmed throughout that she was using only her natural cognitive abilities. "Remarkable." Director Vrexy's feathers shimmered with excitement. "Not superior to our computational methods, perhaps, but different. A completely alternative approach to problem solving." "This could have significant implications," another board member noted. "If human intuition can complement our technological approaches." The chairman's form stabilized into a more ordered pattern. "Cadet Chen will remain at the academy. Furthermore, we will establish a new research initiative to study human cognitive patterns. This alternative perspective could prove valuable." Maya felt relief wash over her, but it was tempered by concern. "With respect," she said carefully, "I'm not here to be studied. I'm here to learn, to prove that humanity deserves a place among the stars. We may think differently than you, but different doesn't mean inferior." The chairman's form rippled in what might have been amusement. "Indeed, Cadet. Perhaps we all have something to learn here. Return to your classes, but expect to be challenged. We will want to understand the full extent of these human capabilities." As Maya left the board chamber, she felt the weight of their expectations on her shoulders. She had won her place at the academy, but she knew this was just the beginning. She would have to prove again and again that human intuition wasn't just a curious anomaly. It was a valuable gift that could complement the galaxy's most advanced technologies. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she wondered what other human traits might surprise their alien colleagues in the days to come. The Neural Challenge. The Academy's Cognitive Research Center resembled a massive geode, its crystalline walls refracting light in hypnotic patterns. Maya sat in a specially designed chamber, surrounded by equipment that monitored every aspect of her neurological activity. Dr. Ixtera, a meridian neurologist with shimmering tentacles of pure energy, observed from behind a quantum field barrier. "Your neural pathways are fascinating, Cadet Chen." Dr. Ixtera's voice resonated through the chamber. "They seem almost chaotic compared to other species we've studied. Yet there's an underlying order we can't quite grasp." Maya remained still as holographic scenarios flickered around her. She had spent the past week undergoing increasingly complex tests, each designed to push the limits of human pattern recognition. "That's because you're looking for the wrong kind of order," she explained. "You're searching for computational logic, but human minds don't work that way." "Explain." Dr. Ixtera's energy tentacles pulsed with curiosity. "Think of it like music," Maya said, her eyes tracking the shifting patterns in the latest tactical simulation. "You can break music down into mathematical patterns, analyze its frequencies and harmonics. But that's not how most humans experience it. We feel it, understand it intuitively. The math is there, but it's not how we process it." The simulation suddenly shifted, presenting a complex battlefield scenario involving multiple dimensions and non-Euclidean space. Maya's mind automatically began identifying patterns, making connections that seemed obvious to her but apparently baffled her alien observers. Remarkable, Dr. Ixtara murmured as Maya correctly predicted the outcome of various tactical decisions before their simulation eye could calculate them. But surely there must be a logical framework we can map. The universe operates on fundamental laws, which humans understand through intuition as much as calculation. Maya interrupted, then caught herself. Sorry, Doctor. It's just, we evolved to survive in a world full of dangers we couldn't possibly calculate. A predator's movement patterns, weather changes, social dynamics. We had to make split-second decisions without complete information. Our brains developed shortcuts. The doctor's energy form flickered thoughtfully. Yet these shortcuts somehow arrive at the same conclusions as our most advanced quantum computers, often faster. They manipulated some controls, and the simulation changed again. Let's try something different. Instead of tactical scenarios, let's explore pattern recognition in abstract concepts. The holographic display filled with shifting symbols from a dozen alien languages, their meanings and relationships morphing in real time. Maya felt her mind automatically beginning to spot correlations, underlying structures, hidden meanings. There, she pointed. These symbols aren't just changing randomly. They're telling a story, aren't they? About the formation of the Galactic Confederation. Dr. Ixtara's energy tentacles flared with surprise. How did you? This sequence was designed to be undecipherable without extensive linguistic and historical analysis. Maya shrugged. The patterns match historical events I studied. See how these symbols echo the flow of time. And these represent different species coming together. It's like reading body language, but with mathematics. Body language, Dr. Ixtara repeated slowly. Another human speciality, as I understand it. The ability to intuitively read micro-expressions and subtle physical cues. Exactly. Maya sat up straighter, excited. It's all connected. Humans are pattern recognition machines because we had to be. We can't calculate gravitational fields instantly like the meridians, or process quantum states like the Zexis theory, but we can see how things fit together. It's not about raw processing power, it's about understanding relationships. The doctor manipulated more controls, and the chamber filled with overlapping waves of sound, light, and electromagnetic radiation. And what do you perceive now? Maya closed her eyes, letting her mind process the cacophony of sensory input. It's music again. Different kinds played simultaneously. But there's a pattern to the chaos. Like jazz improvisation, but on a cosmic scale. She opened her eyes to find Dr. Ixtara's energy form pulsing with intense patterns she'd never seen before. Do you understand what you just did? The doctor asked quietly. That was a direct feed from a quantum probability matrix. Even our AI systems require several minutes to identify underlying patterns in that level of chaos. I didn't identify anything, Maya said. I just felt it, like hearing a familiar song in a noisy room. Dr. Ixtara was silent for a long moment, their energy forms shifting through complex patterns. Finally, they spoke. The Academy Board will want to review these findings. This goes beyond tactical advantage or problem-solving capability. Your species has developed a fundamentally different way of processing reality itself. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Is that good or bad? It's unprecedented, Dr. Ixtara replied. The implications for interspecies cooperation are enormous. If we can learn to combine human intuitive pattern recognition with our computational capabilities. They were interrupted by a sudden alarm. The crystalline walls of the research center flashed with urgent patterns of light. An automated voice echoed through the chamber. Alert. Quantum core stability compromise detected. Cascade failure imminent. All personnel evacuate immediately. Maya saw Dr. Ixtara's energy form flicker with what she recognized as fear. The quantum core. It powers the Academy's dimensional shields, if it fails. But Maya was already on her feet, her mind automatically processing the patterns of light on the walls, the subtle vibrations in the floor, the shifting electromagnetic fields she learned to sense during her testing. And in all that chaos, she saw something the Academy's systems had missed. "Doctor," she said urgently, "I need access to the core control systems. Now." "That's impossible. The quantum mechanics involved." "I don't need to understand the quantum mechanics," Maya interrupted. "I can see the pattern of the collapse. Please, trust human intuition one more time." Dr. Ixtera hesitated for just a moment before their energy tentacles danced across the control panel. "May the first ones help us all," they murmured as Maya's hands flew over the holographic interface, following a pattern only she could see. Crisis point. The Academy's quantum core chamber was a sphere of pure energy, contained within layers of force fields and dimensional barriers. Maya stood before the control interface, her mind racing as she tracked the cascading patterns of the imminent collapse. Around her, alien technicians worked frantically at their stations, their various appendages flying over controls as they tried to prevent catastrophe through pure calculation. 2 minutes to critical failure, announced the automated system. Dimensional containment at 47% and falling. "The calculations aren't working," called out Chief Engineer Stivall, their crystalline form clouded with stress. "The quantum fluctuations are following no known pattern." "That's because they're following all patterns simultaneously," Maya interrupted, her eyes fixed on the swirling energy before her. "Look, it's like weather systems colliding. Each pattern affects all the others, creating new patterns that affect the first ones." Dr. Ixtera's energy tentacles flared. "Impossible to calculate. The variables are infinite." "Stop trying to calculate." Maya's voice cut through the chaos. "Just look. Feel. The patterns are there." She stepped forward, her hands moving across the holographic controls instinctively. The quantum core's energy swirled and pulsed, its patterns shifting in ways that defied conventional physics, but somehow made perfect sense to her human mind. "There," she pointed. "The collapse isn't random. It's like a dance. Each fluctuation leads to the next in a sequence. If we can match that sequence, guide it instead of fighting it." 1 minute to critical failure, the system warned. Chief Engineer Stivell's crystalline surface rippled with doubt. "What you're suggesting violates 17 principles of quantum mechanics." "Trust her," Dr. Ixtera interrupted. "This is exactly what we've been studying. Human pattern recognition operating on a quantum scale." Maya barely heard them. Her mind was fully absorbed in the dance of energy before her, seeing connections that the Academy's most advanced AI systems couldn't compute. Her fingers flew across the controls, not calculating trajectories but feeling them, guiding the quantum fluctuations the way a conductor guides an orchestra. 30 seconds to critical failure. "Look," she called out. "The core isn't failing. It's trying to establish a new stability pattern. But our containment systems are fighting it, trying to force it back to its old configuration. We need to let it flow, guide it to a new equilibrium." 15 seconds. Maya's hands moved faster, adjusting field strengths, not based on calculations, but on the invisible patterns she sensed in the swirling chaos. The quantum core's energy began to pulse in sync with her adjustments, its wild fluctuations gradually falling into a new rhythm. 10 seconds. There, she made one final adjustment, and suddenly the chaotic energy coalesced into a new configuration. The warning sirens fell silent. The core's light shifted from angry red to a steady, peaceful blue. "Quantum core stabilized," announced the system. "New operational parameters established. Efficiency rating, 127% of previous baseline." The chamber fell silent except for the gentle hum of the transformed core. Maya stepped back from the controls, suddenly aware of dozens of alien eyes fixed upon her in astonishment. Chief Engineer Stivell's crystalline form glittered with disbelief. "You didn't just prevent a collapse. You, you improve the core's efficiency without understanding the underlying quantum mechanics. I understood them, Maya said quietly, just not the way you do. I saw how they wanted to flow, like watching water find its natural course. Sometimes the most stable path isn't the most obvious one. Dr. Ixtera floated forward, their energy form pulsing with excitement. This confirms everything our research suggested. Human intuitive pattern recognition operating at a quantum level. The implications are staggering. The implications, came a new voice, are that we have been approaching the galaxy's mysteries entirely wrong for millennia. The Academy's chairman emerged from the observation chamber, their gaseous forms swirling with complex emotions. We have relied on computation, on rigid theories and mathematical models. But perhaps there are patterns in the universe that cannot be calculated, only felt, only intuited. Maya felt the weight of the moment. We're not better, she said carefully, just different. Humans will never match your computational abilities or technological advancement. But maybe we can see things you might miss. Maybe that's why the galaxy needs all of us working together. The chairman's form stabilized into a pattern Maya had never seen before, one that seemed to encompass both order and chaos, much like the newly stabilized quantum core. Cadet Chen, they said, I believe it's time we reevaluated humanity's role in the Galactic Confederation, and perhaps the very nature of intelligence itself. Understanding humanity. 2 months after the quantum core incident, Maya stood in the Academy's grand amphitheater, facing an audience that included not just faculty and students, but representatives from across the Galactic Confederation. The incident had sparked a revolution in how alien species viewed human cognition, and today would mark a formal recognition of that change. The chairman's gaseous form occupied the central podium, their voice resonating through the vast space. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Confederation has measured intelligence through computational capability, technological advancement, and mathematical understanding. Today, we acknowledge this view as incomplete. Maya watched as holographic displays activated around the amphitheater, showing recordings of her interactions with the quantum core, along with data from Dr. Ixtera's research. The images shifted and flowed, telling the story of how human intuition had challenged centuries of established scientific doctrine. The human mind, Dr. Ixtera explained, their energy tentacles creating complex patterns as they addressed the assembly, does not operate on our traditional models of intelligence. Instead, it exists in a fascinating space between order and chaos, employing what we now call intuitive quantum recognition, the ability to perceive and respond to patterns that exist beyond conventional mathematical analysis. Professor Kittel stepped forward, their crystalline form shimmering. In my tactical classes, I once saw human intuition as a primitive substitute for proper calculation. I now understand it as a complementary approach, one that can see solutions our most advanced AI systems might miss. The display shifted to show combat simulations, where human instinct had found strategies that defied conventional tactical doctrine. Maya recognized many of them from her classes, but now they were being presented not as anomalies to be suspicious of, but as valuable alternative approaches to problem solving. But perhaps most significantly, the chairman continued, the quantum core incident demonstrated that human intuitive capability extends beyond tactical scenarios or pattern recognition. It suggests a fundamental connection to the underlying fabric of reality itself, one that our technological advancement, for all its power, has been unable to fully grasp. Maya stepped forward then, her voice clear in the hushed amphitheater. What we're discovering isn't just about humans, she said. It's about the nature of intelligence itself. Every species in the Confederation evolved to solve different problems, to see reality in different ways. Maybe true wisdom lies not in determining which approach is superior, but in learning how they can work together. The chairman's form swirled in agreement. Indeed. And to that end, we are announcing today the establishment of the Interspecies Cognitive Integration Program. No longer will we judge species solely by their technological advancement or computational capabilities. Instead, we will seek to understand and integrate the unique cognitive gifts each brings to our collective knowledge. Maya felt a surge of pride, not just for herself, but for all of humanity. Our ancestors didn't develop advanced technology or quantum computing, she said. Instead, they developed something else: the ability to see patterns in chaos, to make intuitive leaps, to feel the rhythms of the universe in ways that can't be calculated. Not better, not worse, just different. Dr. Ixtera's energy form pulsed with excitement. Already, we are seeing applications far beyond our initial expectations. Human intuitive pattern recognition, combined with our computational capabilities, is opening new frontiers in quantum mechanics, xenobiology, even space-time dynamics. The possibilities are infinite. And so, the chairman concluded, we formally recognize human intuitive cognition as a vital and equal contribution to galactic knowledge. Cadet Chen's experience has taught us that true intelligence cannot be measured on a single scale. The universe is vast and complex, and understanding it requires all of our varied gifts. As the amphitheater erupted in a cacophony of alien expressions of approval, from light displays to electromagnetic pulses to subsonic rumbles, Maya felt a profound sense of completion. She had done more than prove her own worth or defend her place at the Academy. She had helped bridge a gap in understanding that had existed since humanity first looked up at the stars. A new era was beginning, one where human intuition would work alongside alien logic, where pattern recognition would complement quantum calculation, where the mysterious space between order and chaos would be explored by minds that approached it from radically different perspectives. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, Maya knew, there were patterns yet to be recognized, connections yet to be felt, and mysteries that would require all of their combined gifts to understand. The journey of discovery was just beginning, and humanity had finally found its unique role in the grand cosmic dance. Together, she said softly, her words echoing in the profound silence that had fallen over the amphitheater, we'll see patterns even the universe didn't know it was making. The chairman's gaseous form rippled in what Maya had learned to recognize as profound agreement. And in doing so, they replied, we shall all become more than we ever imagined possible. The stars shone through the amphitheater's transparent dome, their ancient light reaching across vast distances to touch minds that were finally learning to see them in all the ways they could be seen. The future stretched out before them, full of possibilities that no single species could grasp alone, but that together, they might just begin to understand.